Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Be Money Smart podcast. I'm your host, Augustia, and today I'm pumped to dive into today's topic with you. We are going to talk about the 35-year-old trap. You know, this whole 35-year-old trap, the scenes are really blowing up and become super well known in China. Just today, I came across an article on WeChat saying people are more likely to develop diabetes after 35, and there are tons of other examples too. Your metabolism slows down after 35, your blood pressures might spike after 35, and you might pack on pounds after 35. Seriously, everything seems to count to that age. And what's so special about this age? I'm pretty honest, curious about this myself. Yes. And here's the thing, from a biological standpoint, if you actually hit 35, your 30s are already at your peaks. But once you cross the 35 threshold, there's a really obvious decline happening. Whether we are talking about your body functions, how fast you can learn new stuff, or where your career is headed. If you are not consistently pushing yourself to grow, and if you're just been doing the same things before you hit 35, basically you are slowly sliding backward. And that might be exactly why everything seems to center around 35. I'll never forget this one time at the Hohai metro station in Shenzhen. You know, the one that connects all those major tech companies' headquarters in this area. And at the station, since it's a huge metro transfer hub, there are all these banners and ads everywhere about fighting off 35-year-old anxiety. But here's what gets me. The more you advertise or try to fight against the 35-year-old anxiety, the more it proves that the whole thing has already have a massive impact on people. That's why companies are willing to drop serious cash advertising there. And especially targeting folks working at the tech companies and making them super anxious. You should pretty much know what direction you are going in by then. And actually at this age, you should be jumping that into the next level. Like maybe at 24 or 25, you figured out your directions or you're working in your strongest area. So by 35, you should be killing it. And because every single day you are constantly working towards this direction, your professional field, so you should be considered pretty successful. That means you should be able to live to the higher level, not necessarily some high up positions in the company, but your expertise in this field should have hit a peak, making it easy to dodge that 35-year-old trap. But here's the kicker. If you are only starting to transform yourself at 35 or after 35, that's cutting the way too close. And you've been in a super stable state before 35, doing the same repetitive stuff every day, and that's not going to cut it. This is exactly like being too comfortable with the current situation. Everyone can coast for a while, doing repetitive things at the same pace, but you can't keep doing this forever, especially for more than a year without any updates or improvements in your work. And these problems could get pretty serious. And so getting the boot at 35 is actually just an inevitable result. You might have been almost there at 30. From the society perspective, if someone has recognitions and wants to transform or has career ambitions after 35, they should definitely be able to become a senior executive before 35. For a technical specialist, their level might have not so high, but their technical level and skills should absolutely be mastered to perfection. So why do people still harp on about the 35 age? First, like I mentioned earlier, if you've been doing repetitive work before 35, you might get eliminated or fired off. And plus, some positions and jobs really do exist there after 35. The people's physical abilities start to decline, and they might be able to work as hard on repetitive tasks as before, like programmers. I know one programmer who was seriously good at pulling all-nighters. His working schedule is actually pretty flexible, roughly from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Yeah, it's flexible because it's a startup. But the reason he does this isn't because it's convenient for family stuff, like dropping off or picking up the kids in the morning. After work, he doesn't go to sleep until 4 or 5 a.m. He starts sleeping, then sleeps until noon, about 6 or 7 hours after sleep, from 4 to 5 a.m. Then he wakes up, gets ready, do other stuff, and shows up to work about 3 p.m. Yes, this schedule has completely wrecked his health. According to his medical report, everything messed up. For example, the thyroid nodules, long nodules, gastritis. It looks like his cardiovascular disease are slightly better. And he also had a heart attack recently. Yes. If you really can't handle it after 35, let alone these guys who are just over 32, yeah, it's even more impossible. And the way he used to work, staying up late and working like crazy, including programmers I know working at Tencent. Some of them even sleep at office for days. And it's like they stayed up all night working overtime, but they can't leave the next day until the next day noon. Yeah, this is similar to the medical field. For example, doctors working night shifts, and if the next day is particularly busy, they might not be able to get off work until noon the next day. But the medical system values seniority. It's not like the tech industries where they burn out and then jump ship. It's relatively more stable, but the tech industry is literally burning through the people's lives. So certain specific industries, because of the nature and the work schedules of the entire workforce, really do make it easy for people to become unsuitable for this job after 35 due to the physical limitations. So if you haven't moved up by age 35, or if you are just, for example, someone who writes code or debugs, you are really easily eliminated. And then you might only be able to get back to your hometown and take several service exams and live a stable life for the rest of your life. So many factors, our physical conditions, specific industry regulations, have led to everything to being about 35-year-old trap, including some basic labor positions that involve relatively simple repetitive work. Of course, unless you are doing something highly specialized, like if you get a PhD and graduate around 30, and then 35 trap might not apply to you, but there might be a 45-year-old traps instead. I remember super clearly when I first graduated and joined a company where everyone had impressive educational background, mostly people who study abroad. But after 1 year, I realized that everyone's education qualifications had lost their value. Just 1 year. Actually, in the workplace, you need to consistently level up yourself. That is the way you keep your positions in the workplace, the only way. So in recent years, even putting aside the pandemic, after graduating for 4 years, yeah, and everyone might come to the big place to work, but you will discover that if you're doing very repetitive work, and you will quickly realize after 1 or 2 years, you can no longer keep up with how fast big cities change, and especially the first-tier cities. If your salary is still the same as it's 2 to 3 years ago, at least in the first-tier city, you will find that your salary is still the same small amount. But why have the rent and prices going up? So you can't just survive in the city anymore and choose to go back to your hometown. This is a really brutal reality. If you don't upgrade and improve yourself, you don't necessarily have to wait until 35. Think about it. Can you grow at a long, linear, exponential rate? This is super important. If you can, then according to China's current inflation rate, about 2 to 4%, can your own improvement speed beats the rates of a price increase or inflation? Because inflation means your money is worth less. And the most concrete way this show up is whether your annual work income can grow by at least 2 to 4%. This is a really realistic problem. Forget about how many young people or technical experts. Has your salary increased in past 2 or 3 years? Has it grown at this rate every year? Of course, if you are younger, you might have more room for growth. But once you reach a position like a technical director or supervisor, the market rate for these positions might flatten out. If you want to increase further, you might need to break out of your current field and take on more responsibility. Move up to management, and then your salary will increase. So this is a very realistic problem. Why is everything about 35 years old and age 35 is actually a filter about every year before that actually gives everyone tons of opportunities. Can everyone, whether it's knowledge update, skill improvement, or certifications, make sure they have at least 2% growth every year? Actually, it's daily, and it's really tough for everyone. And here I can do the math for you. If it's 1.02, 2% improve every day, then this year's you will be 1,377 times better than the last year you. Let's make this number a bit smaller. Let's say just 1.17, not particularly huge. Can everyone achieve about 20% improvement by every year? Can everyone increase their salary by 20% with 8 years? These difficulties shouldn't be super high. Of course, some people might double their incomes in 1 year by getting some certification. First, to break the 35-year-old trap or 30 or 45, they're all the same type. You absolutely have to learn to upgrade yourself. Only by making yourself better can you deserve high income, better social circles, and higher level connections. Otherwise, if everyone does repetitive work every day, your social circles will always be the same, and you will be phased out by times. So everyone shouldn't be hung up on the 35-year-old trap too much. Second, really understand the reason and mechanism behind it. And the way to break it is to consistently upgrade yourself. Then you'll never meet the 35-year-old trap. You might even be able to go back to being 18 because you're constantly learning, constantly upgrading yourself, keeping up with time, or directly leave the time. Do you think Elon Musk has a 35-year-old problem? So that's a key right there. Alright, that's a wrap for today's episode. But before you go, I've got a favor to ask. If you are feeling inspired to break out of whatever age traps you might be facing, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started with those deep dives into real stuff that really affects your career and life. Next week, we're gonna talk about another episode that's gonna blow your mind and give you practical strategies you can actually use. So make sure you are subscribed and don't miss out. Remember, you've got the power to rewrite your story at any age. Keep learning, growing, and pushing those boundaries away. Until next time, stay curious, stay hungry, and we'll catch you on next episode.